What's going on, kings and queens? You already know what this is. I'm Rodney R&B Bellard. This is the show I Could Be Wrong, and today I got my very first guest at the table of truth. To my left right here, I got young Tone Bone, aka Cheesy Face. And to my right, I got Captain Meathead, Tory Jones. All right, fellas. So before we get started, since you guys sat down here at Table of Truth, number one, thank you guys. I truly do appreciate y'all taking time out of y'all day and y'all night. Probably wouldn't do shit anyway, but nonetheless, I still appreciate you guys coming and sitting here with me and chopping it up.
I was planning on holding myself tonight.
I figured you probably was. You seem like the type.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? But,
you miss Al Bundy.
okay, so I need you guys to repeat after me. You ain't gotta put no hand up or nothing. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do all of that. Boys, good honor.
You can edit that out. You can edit that out.
I ain't editing shit. I don't know how, but this shit can be real as hell. All right, so repeat after me. I give my word to keep it a buck.
I give my word to keep it a buck.
No matter what.
No matter what.
And even though I could be wrong.
And even though I could be wrong.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
There we go. All right, let's get it. All right, so the reason why I asked you guys on the show was because I wanted to talk about all three of us grew up very differently. Three different types of households. Like Tone Bone, you grew up in an interracial household, and you were always interesting to me because of the fact that some guys that I've told you before, like when they grow up in an interracial household, they either act too black or too white, but you have like that perfect mixture. Like that, you know what I'm saying? You do everything like you shoot guns at deer, but you also shoot at nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
and not a lot of people can do that. And then with Tory, like getting to know you and hearing your story, and like you honestly being so silly and so funny, but then hearing your backstory, it's almost kind of like, how the fuck is this guy not pissed all the fucking time? So that was always interesting to me. And then obviously myself, growing up one single parent home, father committed suicide, the whole spiel. So that's how I want to get into it. So what I wanted to talk about, okay, so I'll start with Tone. So Tone, you growing up in an interracial household, how do you think that affected you as far as you being a father yourself?
As far as being a father?
Yeah. Because another thing too, like all of us had kids really young.
I don't know. I can't think of in way of a father. I'm not really sure, but just as a person,
okay.
I kind of feel like just my opinion, but I kind of feel like I approach a lot of things that could be racial or that are racial with a non-biased sort of opinion because I have both parents in my life. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of times, when you have biracial kids, a lot of times there's only one parent in the household and the kid will generally tend to lean towards that race. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if it's a white father or mother, they tend to act or be more white. They might grow their hair out a little bit more. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's always slicking it back into a ponytail. Stuff like that. So I think that just me growing up the way I did, I have I don't really have a dog in that fight. You know what I mean? So I always approach things. I'm not always like, oh, that's fucking racist. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if something's fucking racist, I'm gonna call it out. You know what I mean? So, but that's a good question though. As far as a father, the only thing that I could say is that kind of helped me pass that down to him so that he doesn't have a mind of looking at race first. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's probably the only thing I can think of right off the bat.
Okay. And Tory Face. So you grew up in foster care, right?
Yeah. I was in foster care 5, 6 years old.
Okay. Well, I shouldn't say grew up, but you had.
I went in foster care around 5 or 6.
Now, was foster care a family member, or was it? Oh, it was like total strangers.
Strangers. There's some, Pastor Ford.
Mm-mm.
Pastor Ford out here in MC. I stayed with him for a little bit. I stayed in a mixed couple home. I stayed 4 years in West Willow. I stayed out in the country, went to Lincoln. I stayed in foster care up until beginning of 9th grade, and I went to a group home.
So how do you think that's affected you as far as being a dad?
Well,
he was waiting too. When you heard that, that sound crazy. Well, I'll be quite frank.
come on, man. I'm trying. What was the question?
How do you think that affected you as a father?
A lot. Because, growing up in foster care, my first foster family was Miss Bootsy. She was a single parent.
She sounded like a great person.
She wasn't.
She wasn't.
Let's not get into that.
Okay, all right.
I didn't like staying there.
Okay.
She was a single parent. She had her own daughter. She had her, I don't know if she was her daughter or if that was her daughter's daughter. She just, took care of her or what, but she had a daughter. And she had older kids too, but living there was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot. Living there was horrible. Then going to the foster care out in the country, living with the Hicks. There was some ups and downs there. After I left, I didn't go back for almost 20 years. Damn, my brother begged me to go back, so I went back. And it is what it is,
Okay, we're reeling it back in. See, niggas don't forget the question.
No.
How does that affect you as a dad?
A lot. I want my kids to have what I didn't. I didn't physically know. I didn't. How can I say this? I didn't know who my father was until the day of his funeral.
Yeah.
When I saw an old picture of my father, because I haven't seen his picture before, and my that senior picture photo where you leaning in and turn to the camera.
Yeah.
Both my dad and my brother took the exact same photo. And
That's
it's
crazy.
Like, bam, oh, there's my sister leaned into me after she saw that photo. She was like, there's your dad. Like, because I was told my dad passed away when I was 18. And then there was family from Ann Arbor that I never met. Of course, my mom brought everybody over and everything to meet these family, and they're not even family. But the one who I called dad, Linwood Stovall, that's the only one I ever thought who was my father. And I didn't know 100% who my father was to the day.
So with that, like,
I want to give my sons everything that I never had.
I was gonna change it. So like with that, like, because like I said before, like, we all know you as being like funny, silly. Well, I'm gonna say funny because you make a lot of
Corny jokes.
corny fucking jokes, but silly ass story. Like you don't come off as like an angry person. But I would assume that somebody goes through all that kind of stuff. Like, what keeps you? I'm not saying that you're not angry. I'm sure you have moments, but
I have my moments.
What keeps you positive? I should say.
It's hiding it.
Yeah.
Embarrassment. Not wanting people to know. You put up a facade, front.
Yeah, I definitely do that, and I still do that even now to a certain extent. Because I'll say for me, growing up with a single mom and like my dad committed suicide, it always made me. It definitely made me want to be different for my kids. And even when I was going through a lot of that emotional stuff and not knowing if I didn't want to be here,
right?
It was the fact of like I remember all the times that I went through. You know what I'm saying? Like thinking about my dad, like he missed my child being born, me graduating, me getting married, things like that. It's like it's all these different things. I'm like, I know how hard that was for me going through that, or like how hard it was when my kids would ask me, like, "Hey, Dad, why we never met your dad?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like just like how you said, like you didn't know your dad. Like I've heard stuff about my dad, but honestly, my dad passed away when I was 3 years old. I don't know shit about the man. You know what I'm saying? I got siblings that I've never met that I've been thinking about trying to get back in contact with, but
they live here.
Yeah, so supposedly they live in Detroit. At least that's
right down the street.
Yeah, but see, the only thing is too, like when my dad had me, my dad was 40 something years old, I think. So my siblings would, I got the two older siblings that I do know on his side. Big Carla, she's like, I think 50 maybe, 40, 50 something. And then my brother Booker, he's 40 something. So my other siblings that are older than them, they gotta probably be like 60 if not older than that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I never, you know what I'm saying? Like I've shit anything.
So your dad was older
Yeah.
than your mom.
Oh yeah, my mom was like I think 20 something when she had me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she liked the older men. She did like the older men. I mean, he looked young as hell. So that was, you know, that's I kind of felt like maybe that's what she went off of. I don't really don't want to know, honestly. But no, I know for me, like that's what's affected me. Like when I think about my kids and stuff like that, like that's what makes me want to be a better father. And the reason why I say that too, because I feel like, and I'm sure you guys have seen it growing up, a lot of guys will use that as a way to not take care of their kids. Because they're like, oh, you know, like, or, you know, it's like maybe they don't, and I don't blame them because I guess like in hindsight, sometimes you just don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. And I was gonna say I think a lot of times that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And if you ever question anybody that's like that about it, they'll come up with a million excuses. But I agree with that. I think it's more so that they just don't know how to be a dad.
Yeah.
And venturing down that road, I got a cousin, I ain't gonna say his name. If I do, edit it out, please.
I'll try to help you.
Yeah,
because I got a million cousins, you know what I'm saying? It could be anybody. But you know, he grew up with a father. I seen his father, my uncle, more than he saw.
Yeah.
And to me, that was strange. You know, growing up as a kid, knowing that my uncle never goes and sees my cousin, you know what I mean? He goes and sees his son. And as we got older, my cousin would come over to my grandma's house for holidays and whatnot, and my uncle would barely speak to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you never see this boy.
Yeah.
You never see this boy. This is your son. I remember last time I brought him over to my grandma's house, my uncle was sitting on the couch reading the paper. And he hadn't, my cousin had been gone for, let's say like 8 years or something like that. And he hadn't seen him in almost 10 years. And I took him over to my grandma's house and he looked up and was like, hey, you know, said his name and looked back down at the paper and kept reading the paper. And man, what type of asshole does it, I love my uncle, but what does it take for a man or a woman, but usually you see men acting like this, to get to the point where you really just don't give a shit. About your kid. You know, I don't understand.
Selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I understand that part of it, but where does that come from? You know what I mean? How do you get to that point? And I'm saying that to say this, my cousin is the same way. His dad, knowing that he fucked up, was going and getting his son, picking his grandson up, going and seeing his son. You see that a lot too, yeah. Trying to make up for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now he's trying to get the son to see my cousin. You know what I mean? And he don't want nothing to do with it. Just another short story. We was down at a friend of ours' house. My cousin's son was down at my grandma's house, which is right down the street. My uncle called me and was like, hey, you know, if you seen so-and-so, I was like, oh yeah, he's here, he's down here, bring him down here. He brings his son down, he sees him walking down the street. Now, at this time, I didn't know how he felt. He had been telling me he wanted to see his son. So I'm thinking I'm surprised.
Your uncle was telling you? Yeah. Your cousin?
My cousin.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm surprising him by having his dad bring his son down. Do you not know this nigga started walking down the street and just left and went and hid until my uncle and his son left? Because he doesn't know how to be a father.
Yeah.
There's no reason why. It doesn't matter if you hate the girl, the mother.
Yeah.
That you can't tell me that that's a reason you don't want to see your kid.
Right.
Especially 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years after y'all done broke up. Man, come on. There's something else there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hit it right on the head. They just don't understand what to do. You go to your son you ain't seen in I don't know how long. You would rather just not deal with that confrontation than just
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't know how to cope with it.
Right.
They either feeling some type of guilt or
it's guilt. It's absolute. It's guilt. Some of it's selfishness, I'm sure.
Stubborn.
But how do you get there?
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, hey, I would act like we had been cool the whole time. I don't know how else to act.
Something must have hit a switch or pushed the button and he was like, you know what, I ain't doing this. Period. And then just stuck with it and just, being stubborn and selfish. It was just.
I think too is one of those things that me and Amber was talking about this recently. It's like the older that we get, I think it's harder. The older that you get and the farther things go along, it becomes harder to actually deal with stuff because you start to think to yourself, like, depending on how long you went without seeing them, it becomes like, okay, what do I do now? Like, it's been this time, and you keep pushing it farther and farther and further into the fact that it's like, after a while, you just don't even deal with it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes niggas don't deal with it until it's too late because, like, not to digress, but like to talk about, like, I was thinking about like a lot of my friends that I grew up with. And a lot of my friends, as we got older, like getting ready to turn 40, some of us being 40, you see, like, you get to a point in your life where it's like you don't know what else to do as far as like growing, right? You want particular things, but it's like, how do I get them? You know what I'm saying? You get stuck at a job, you're stuck at that job, you're just doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I see a lot of my friends becoming alcoholics, or they turn into harder drugs, or some of them even commit suicide.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And I think it's like we get to a certain point, like you partying during your 20s, you turn 30. A lot of us don't really know how to fucking grow up, to be honest with you. Like I told Amber yesterday, I said, if it wasn't for me working at Ford, for real, nigga, I would probably be one of those dudes, 100%. Like I just happen to be blessed where I have a job where I make good money. But like, it's a lot of niggas that don't, like, you know what I'm saying, we don't have the education, we don't try to get the education.
Right. So
we get to a certain point, especially growing up in the hood, where it's like, you don't know what to do now. Now you're like in your 40s or you get ready to turn 40 and it's like, you know what I'm saying, you still struggling just to make ends meet, and it's like, okay, but how do I get past that? But a lot of niggas don't know how to get their mind to be like, well, you gotta grind, you gotta bust your ass.
Mm-hmm. I used to have that motivation.
Now you hit on something a little bit bigger.
CD man is playing back in the day, but still.
I
used to have that motivation and I don't have
CD, movies, everything.
Yeah. Fix your computer, everything.
Try to sell me game.
And that is
you asked for it.
Part of the culture though.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say culture, I don't mean black culture, I mean American culture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talk about how American culture is hard work, execution, doing the things that you need to do to get done. But the other side of America, what they don't talk about is people who are just flat out lazy.
Yeah, 100%.
And America breeds lazy ass people. And I love America, but there's a lot of culture that Black, white, Asian, all people fall into.
Yeah.
You got more Asians now in the hood than you ever did. You know what I'm saying? So that says something for American culture.
Yeah.
People are coming over here, and just to be bottom line in America is good enough.
Just to be po-po, they will, is a come up to them. In some countries,
right.
Come over here and be on.
And I'm not just talking about immigrants though.
Yeah,
I'm talking about all of us.
Yeah. I don't understand how some people can just get to a certain level and just be.
That's what I see. I think a lot of times
get comfortable.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of times too. I see. Like, you see, like I noticed, like you hang around like some kids. I say like Ann Arbor, prime example, right? Like if you grew up in a household like with my mom, like my mom was always about getting a house. That was her big thing. She always preached us, having your own. But I know other friends that didn't have that, so they're fine not doing more than what they have. You know what I'm saying?
I've been renting apartments forever. I just decided to get in a house.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I mean, my grandmother had his house. My grandmother always lived in an apartment, so I thought just me having a house or a little apartment somewhere, was fine. I'm like, no, I want a house. I mean, I lived in foster homes in these houses and everything, but I was never taught invest in your life. This is a house. This is an investment. You know what I'm saying? I done spent so much money in rent over the last 20 years. I could have bought a house. Could have sold that, would have bought another house better and had it paid off.
I was gonna say Tony shit. Tony inspires me a lot because I see where Tony. I remember when y'all started when I first met you. Y'all staying at the apartments around the corner from here. The ones that kind of like duck off. And then to stay in the nice ass house y'all staying now, and then to see you doing what you're doing to fix it up, like. And I mean, I know it was, I remember like talking to y'all as y'all was trying to get the house, like having to have like shit that I didn't even know. You had to have like a particular amount of money in your bank account or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta have
like all this shit.
Certain credit score just to even stay. Some places only mess with you if you got.
The most important thing is having seasoned money in your bank account. That's the most important thing.
So what seasoned money?
Right. So they want to see a certain amount of money in your bank account for at least 90 days.
Oh,
maybe even 6 months. So that makes sure, not to get off subject, but
no, I think that's good for people to hear. This goes back to what I was saying before. We don't know.
That makes sure that you don't have like some dope dealer coming in paying for you to get a house.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that the money is yours so you can afford to get the house.
Yeah.
Right? Because who wants to give a loan out where somebody can't pay it back?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But they want to see seasoned money, and if you're a first-time home buyer, you can do a FHA loan.
Where they get you either $75,000 to sometimes $10,000 up towards your closing costs and everything, depending on what kind of house you get.
They didn't give me shit towards my closing costs.
What did they give you?
So the FHA loan makes it to where if you're a first-time home buyer, you only have to put up 3% of the price of the house.
Yeah, that's what that's
right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're buying your second home, you got to come up with 20% of the price of the house.
Yeah.
Right. So those two things right there, you know, if you're going to buy a house, expect to put 3 to 5% down because you're going to have closing costs. You know, that's not just your money down. Your money down is something different than your closing costs. So that's always a good idea. So try to have like 5% ready if you're a first-time home buyer, so that you can have your down payment and you pay your closing costs. And then you're gonna have to get an inspection on the house. That's important too. You know, you don't want to buy a house that's got crumbling foundation,
or mold and shit,
black mold in the attic or something like that. So that's really important. That can be up to $1,000.
So y'all hear this? This is stuff that we need to know, that we need to pass on, because a lot of us don't know.
Right. I mean, it's something that, you know, you get with a mortgage broker and that guides you through it. You know, luckily my stepdad was a mortgage broker, or is a mortgage broker, and he when I first went to do it, he printed out my credit report, and it was like this thick, and it was all this stuff in there that I had to pay off. Yeah. And it was like a bunch of money, but like $100 here. You know what I mean? It ended up being like $3,000 worth of stuff, just here and there, bills here and there. Cleaned up all that stuff up. Once I did that, we started saving money to get the house. It took us quite a while, but we finally saved up enough money to do it, and almost didn't have enough money to close. So it can be a struggle.
Yeah. Did you have to raise your credit score?
I did. That was why I had to pay all that stuff off.
Paying that stuff off, raise it, because I only got a G worth of stuff on there, medical bills.
That will still, even if it's $100, that can bring your score down 100 points. Every time it's reported and you haven't paid on it or contacted them or anything, your credit score will go down even more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on this channel, we will also have at some point Tony's info on how to get a fucking home.
That's what I was saying, man. It's a lot. I didn't want to get off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to it.
So another question that I have, and this is something that's always intriguing because I talk about myself. Let's not start off with Tori, because Tony just took about 30 fucking minutes of time talking about some real shit though. But no. So Tori, how do you feel? How you grew up? Like, okay, first question: who do you think taught you about how to treat women, and how do you think how you grew up affected you and how you have treated women? Because I mean, let's give it all with Buck. I mean, I'm not gonna say y'all, but I'll say for myself, I know I've been a scumbag at times. I've been a piece of shit as far as being a boyfriend and stuff like that. It's like I know that, you know what I'm saying? So but I've learned through therapy why I was like that. It's not making up excuses,
right?
But it's just having an understanding of why I was that person.
Right.
Now I know I haven't had any real father figure for a while until when I started dating Tori's mom, my uncle.
Okay, I was about to say she was your father.
No, my uncle was a father.
Okay.
Figure when I started dating her and everything. So whenever I needed somebody to talk to, that was him. But I was 27, 28.
Is that the one I met at the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Bears.
Oh yeah.
But growing up, I didn't really have that. I've had questions that I couldn't have. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I was living on my own in 16, and before that, I was in a foster home where my foster dad was gone. Then I went to another foster home, and I only stayed there for like a few months, and then I was gone to a group home, and I was in 9th grade. And I'm going through all this stuff through group home. I really got nobody to talk to. Talk to my grandmother, and she can only do so much.
Yeah.
But to get back on the question, what was it again? So I can make sure I'm answering it right.
How do you think it's affected you and how you treated women?
Oh, I seen how other men treated my mother, and I knew by seeing how she was treated, how I did not want to treat women. You know what I'm saying? I've seen horrible things growing up, and I don't ever want to see the woman in my life treated like that, ever. I got into domestic violence when I was 18. Any unwanted contact is considered assault.
Oh yeah.
I got into domestic violence when I was 18, and ever since then I've been an avid opponent against domestic violence, big time. So,
you can get convicted of domestic violence without even actually putting your hands on them.
Yeah.
Throw some gun at them.
I seen
you
somebody
throw your keys or.
I seen somebody convicted of assault with a French fry.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's.
Hold on.
Being petty.
You can say I assaulted you with a napkin.
You being petty, you threw a French fry at somebody, now you in jail. You know what I'm saying? And it happens that fast.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about how do you think it affected you? Because you grew up with both of your parents, right?
Yeah.
So seeing like with your dad and how he treated your mom, like how do you think that affected you as far as how you treated women?
I knew my mom and dad fought, but honestly, they never did it in front of me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I always grew up respecting women, even though when I got older, and I want to just say this too, because we can raise our kids to be whatever we want them to be, but when they ain't away from us, they gonna be their own.
Oh, of course, because we was us. I've done my dirt.
Any parent out there that thinks, oh, my kid would never do that. If you would say that, if you're the parent that would say that, you're the parent who's going to be like, holy shit, my kid.
Right?
Because you're an idiot. You really believe that this kid. Look at all the influences that these kids have now. You really think that this kid, when he's away from you, I don't care if you take him to church 7 days a week. You think that kid, when he gets away from you, he's going to do what he wants to do. Now, that could be good things. It could be bad things. It could be things that's going to put him in jail. But I was raised to respect women. I was raised to, open the door, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I do that. That don't mean I haven't disrespected women. I wasn't taught to disrespect women.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, I wasn't taught to cuss, but I do.
But I have, exactly. So, regardless on the mistakes my parents made, it was always drilled into my head to respect women. Yeah. So, and I never saw disrespect to women growing up. Just on the streets. Not in my house. Yeah,
there's a story out there.
Not in my house, though. So I definitely.
I didn't see it in foster care, but a little bit that I remember before, I see it a little bit before, and then just the streets. But as I got older, yeah.
Yeah, you make choices.
Mm-hmm.
You get out there, you get to choose, and you got freedom. And next thing you know, you like, man.
It's like a girl telling you that you're cute, you never had it before. You're like, wait a minute, oh, you think it too? I think it's not. I'll say for me, and I know I talked about this before on the show. Like the worst I've ever felt when I've done some shit was honestly when I did hurt Amber. Like that was. Because like I said, I was like don't get me wrong, like, I've never glorified my bullshit. Like I knew I did some foul shit, you know what I'm saying, that I'm not proud of. But somehow when you meet that one person where they get mad at you, and that shit just, you know, it fucks with you different. Like where it's like it fucks with your sleep. You know what I'm saying? You just not good, and it's like that's what it was. And then like I said, like I found myself doing things I never did before. Like I was talking to my mom about it. You know, to my mom about shit. My mom will tell you right now. She tell her I've had sex 3 times. That's when I got 3 kids. We don't talk about none of that shit. But that was the first time I like talking to my mom about stuff, or even telling my kids. Like,
right.
You know, I've always told my kids. The reason why I always talk to my kids and I'm open about who I was and who I am is because I want them to know I'm not perfect. Because I want them to be open and talk to me about stuff. And going back to what you were saying about kids doing what they want to do. We were at parent teacher conferences last year, and one of LaRon's teachers, this dude, he was like, you know, he's like, LaRon is such a respectful kid. He was like, I got 5 daughters at home, and I would leave LaRon there with them. I said, I would.
He buttered you up.
Yeah.
He buttered you up, see?
LaRon is the quietest kid, but I promise you, I said, every time we go somewhere, LaRon knows at least 2 people. You're not that fucking quiet. You're doing that with us, but you're not that damn quiet.
And I really don't think that dude would leave LaRon home with his daughters. I think he was just trying to pick him up.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
You're not going to do that. Not if you're smart.
Because I don't care. He can be the nicest kid in the world. He can still get somebody pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what does nice have to do with sex?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Usually the nice guys get more, right? Because that whole thing, what an asshole guy get. The asshole
guy definitely get more.
The asshole
I was a nice guy, I
guy.
got treated like shit.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So when I say asshole, what we talking about, right?
Like just not being overly sweet. I've learned as I've gotten older to find a good balance because you can't be too nice.
Right. That's not
too nice. They will definitely run you.
I want you to put yourself in the friend zone. That ain't what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know, usually. In my experience, when I was younger, I was always the nice guy. Girls would be disarmed by just how polite I was, because I was raised. I was raised to be polite to women. So while other guys is over here like, oh, these bitches coming over, blah blah blah, and there's girls sitting right here. You know what I'm saying? That I was just the one like, yeah, they tripping. You know what I'm saying? Don't even worry about that.
See, that's me too.
They like that's just how they talk. They don't really mean y'all are bitches. That's just.
I don't think I have friends like that. Jesus, Tony. You from the South Side too, though. So
I mean,
niggas is different over there. Nobody on the South Side has an actual name. Everybody has I promise you, everybody on the South Side has a nickname.
Okay.
I don't think y'all even know y'all real names until y'all turn at least 40. Then that's when y'all find out y'all governments.
I don't even think some of them niggas know they real names.
Probably not.
Mama been calling them Pooh Man and Pooka Doo.
I remember when I first met Tony, he told me from the South Side. I'm like, okay, I don't like it. We were sitting out there. We went to Shane. Shane had like a party or something. Nigga, when I say everybody knew Tony, like, oh, Tombone. That's what I was talking about. Tony, this guy right here, this guy Tombone. And Tony, you know, he like that smooth nigga, like when you see like your ex, he's like, what's up, man? You good? Yeah, chilling, just working, you know what I'm saying? Just working, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, Tony, what's going on? I said, no, this nigga knows everybody's in the party.
I'm respectful to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, most of the time, you get that same respect back.
Tony did some goon shit back in the day, though. I just feel like it. Because you knew some goon niggas up in there. I mean, some niggas that frightened me, where I'm like, I know what you was doing back in the day.
Yeah, that did some.
I believe it.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
That's another episode. We can talk about how my childhood led to crime. Respectful. I was respectful to women, but it led to crime.
Oh my god. So as we've gotten older, right, and we start to like progress, like what motivates you guys? We'll start with Tony this time. What motivates you every day to, I say, like want more, to achieve more?
You know what? Recently, I just got some new motivation in my life. I got a grandson.
That's crazy.
So
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
Super young granddad.
Right. I know. Right. Sometimes I feel weak.
But I'm sure your dad said the same thing. Super young granddad. But no, Tyler was a little younger than you, right? Because you were the same age as me when you had Tyler, right? I was 20 when I had Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler was born in 2000. I was 20. My dad was 28 or 29 when he had me.
Okay. Well, I'm saying him becoming a granddad though, like because you were so young.
Oh, you mean a great granddad? Him becoming a great granddad?
No,
you mean when Tyler was
yeah.
born? Okay, so yeah. He was excited. He was excited to be a granddad. He was 50 when he became a granddad, so he was 10 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I had to think about it for a second.
My mom
so
was
yeah,
not happy.
He was lovely.
She was like, Rodney, damn it.
How old was your mom? Was she?
40 something.
Yeah. See,
she's like, go in the living room. I was like, oh shit. When I say I waited till the last minute, like nigga, my baby mama was like showing. Her mom actually told me, she said, if you don't tell your mom, I'm gonna tell your mom. And so finally we went over there and told my mom, I was like, well, now I'm pregnant. She was like, oh, Rodney, damn it, y'all go in the living room. She came out there and talked to us. I was like, she's not gonna handle this well. But going back to what I was saying, like so you talked your grandson motivating you.
Right. So that recently, that's been my newest motivation. But you know, before him, you know, like a long-term I got a new long-term motivation.
Yeah.
But before him, my long-term motivation was honestly my mom and my sister, seeing their accomplishments and seeing where my mom came from to where she left before she passed. You know what I mean? Having that nice house they got, having the business and the car. I mean, seeing what she came from to what she accomplished and what my sister has accomplished. Just having those examples kind of puts you in a mindset sometimes where you feel like, damn, I ain't doing enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't have somebody in their life that they can look at as a role model or to go to for that experience, to learn how to buy a house, to even get you into going in that direction, you know. And it's not that I borrowed money or anything. It was just that I got a second job working with my mom at her business and pushing through all my debt was a struggle. But my mom did the same thing. I saw her do the same thing, living in a little flat apartment. You know what I'm saying? I remember my mom's little tiny apartment. The first Thanksgiving we had at that apartment, she left the bag inside the turkey, right? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, looking at that and then fast forward into one of the last Thanksgivings we had where it was just this ridiculous spread of food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like seeing that can put you in a bad mindset, like I said, but it also motivates you because eventually you're like, you know what? I can do that too.
Yeah.
All I have to do is blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I got a game plan. I just got to execute it. And the first thing you need is to be able to see somebody that's done it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to be able to see their game plan or a game plan if you can't come up with your own. And a lot of people don't have that in America, especially Black people.
Mm-hmm.
All people don't have that. But especially in the Black community, we don't have those gears in place for generational wealth. We do, but we don't. A lot of us don't know how to access that.
Yeah.
And my sister being a nurse tech or something like that, where she's trained to be a nurse, and then going from that and getting like another nurse's degree, you know what I'm saying, and then being a RNA and then a nurse's anesthetist, you know what I'm saying, a CRNA or whatever. She just kept moving up, and I'm like, damn, she works and goes to school, you know what I'm saying, and takes care of her kids, you know what I'm saying. It's like, damn, I don't have nothing to complain about. I gotta get on the ball.
Right.
And that type of, back to the question, that type of role model is what can keep you having that long-term focus when you see that person next to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of rappers get more successful once they make it. You're successful, but then they start getting around other rich people, and then they start putting their money together and stuff, and it's like
investing in other businesses.
Exactly. So
you gotta put yourself around like-minded people.
That has been my motivation.
You keep seeing yourself stuck in a certain situation, then you gotta look at yourself and then the people around you.
And a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people will look at those role models and be like, man, fuck them. Because you got haters out here.
Like, I mean, yeah.
It's in their heart. There's nothing they can do. Those people will never be successful. Only at flashy stuff. They might have the shoes. Everybody knows that nigga that's a hater.
Oh, yeah.
He could probably fight. That's why he hates on there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't do that.
And sometimes they can't even do that. You know, they just a hater. You know, and those people are the people that need to be weeded out.
Yeah.
You know, as far as dragging other people down. Because there is motivation. In the black communities, there's plenty of motivation. You can go out and buy you some J's. You can go out and buy you a brand new Challenger with coronavirus money. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you spent 3 hours on the phone with unemployment so you can get you a fucking Challenger. But you won't go out and actually get a job.
Yeah.
You quit your job when coronavirus hit. They didn't fire you. You quit.
Yeah, because everywhere's hiring right now.
You quit. Let's just call it what it is. You quit. Now you collecting this money. Now you got a $800 car payment every month. And that's just a car payment.
Not including the insurance.
You know. So, long story short, my motivation is people around me, family members that I've seen make it.
Yeah. See, I've been having issues with motivation and dealing with my depression over the last 3 years. And I had to sit back and take a look at who I was, you know. I got my family, but then who are the people that's always around me? And then I sat back and I looked at these people and I was like,
people always stressing you out.
They stressing me out, but they ain't going nowhere. And it took an incident for me to see that. You know what I'm saying? And I had to let them go, stop being friends with them, and move on. And then I had another moment again, and now I'm all like, I got to get up off my ass. I got things that I want to do. I got places I want to go. I want to take my kids places. I want to do things. And me sitting here and moping around about it ain't gonna get it. So I was ready to go back to work 2 weeks ago. I get to work and they tell me, you want TLO? I'm like, dang. Like what?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I gotta sit here for 2 weeks and wait to go back to work. So I went and started working with my cousin just to get my mind straight, you know, just to stay busy. Never do that again, but.
I think that's dope that you can do that though, because I know with me, that's one of the reasons I started doing the show. Because like, don't get me wrong, like I was like, when I see like all my friends and certain things that they're really good at, like one thing I know that Tony's good at, I don't know if I can I say that? I don't know if I can do that.
What?
No.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably shouldn't.
Well, I look at all my friends and like people that are doing stuff like what you have in the house and actually buying a house. You know what I'm saying? I see my boy Vince, my boy Jamonte. I see like what Shane's doing. Everybody has found at our age what they're good at.
A little groove.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So with me, it's like I work every day, and though I'm happy to have my job, I'm like, I'm not gonna say like I'm I feel blessed to have my job. I'm not happy every fucking day.
Yeah.
But I was like, but the one thing I'm good at entertainment. I'm good at talking. I'm good at being funny. I'm good at singing. So it's like, so with me, I started praying a lot. I'm like, especially going to therapy, I'm like, what's something that I can do that I'm good at? And the one thing I kept hearing, I had 3 separate people within like a matter of a couple weeks talking to me about like, you should do a podcast. Mind these people don't know each other. They don't know each other at all. But all 3 of them talked to me about like, hey, you should do a podcast. Like, nigga, you funny, you blah, blah, blah. This. I'm like, well, damn, I was like, maybe I should do it.
You got the personality for it.
And I appreciate that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what I had to realize. I had to find what was for me. And so now I feel like I found what it is that I want to do. And it's like you talk about generational wealth. That's something that we're talking about all the time. Like, because I think about that, I was like, I don't want to make money for me no more. I want to make money for my kids and my grandkids. Like, I want them, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I want them to have the opportunity that you see other kids have. There's a lot of kids that never earn a fucking dollar a day in their damn life. And they start off good. Why can't our kids have that?
Right.
Well, they have to start somewhere.
Have you noticed that in other cultures, when your kids get older, they stay at home until like they're either married or about to get married, almost 30 sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most black kids.
I'm keeping my 18. Yeah.
I got a friend who's my cousin's girlfriend's whatever son or brother, whatever. Walked off the field from graduation, went up to his dad. Dad shook his hand, gave him a hug, and said, "Congratulations." He was like, took his keys, was like, "Here's your keys, stuff's in the van." I did my job. And walked away.
Damn. Wow.
On the graduation field.
Shit.
I was like, damn.
That's cold. That's cold. But you never know what he did.
That is true. He might have been a piece of shit.
It was, yeah, I mean, I understand all that.
My son's not even bad, and I be thinking about kicking him out sometimes.
Yeah.
You said what?
He's not even bad, and I be thinking about kicking him out sometimes. I think I want to walk around naked.
What happened from the last of my cranberry? I'm punching him in his throat.
He's nervous about this. I love my kids to death, but sometimes I'm like, these little motherfuckers, boy. Jesus. I'm going to put my hands on him sometimes.
I hear you. But it's good. It's good to have something, man, that, you know, an outlet is always something that's good to have. I haven't went to therapy myself, but I have people that I talk to a lot, you know what I mean, that I can kind of lean on as far as if I have an issue, I can be like, hey, this is what is going on, you know what I mean? Like, what would you do? You know what I mean?
Exactly, that's still therapeutic to do something like that.
And it is. It's just not. It's not a professional. It's not somebody that can really read me. But I do still get a lot of that. I feel like I get a lot of that similar feedback because other people open your eyes to stuff that you just ain't aware of.
Yeah.
You could say something and people could take it the wrong way, or you could do something and people could take it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the little stuff. I mean, it gets a lot deeper than that, but you know what I mean. So, you know, it's good to have something that you can do to where you feel like you're being productive. It don't matter if you out back chopping fucking wood.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you're doing something for your family or doing something to satisfy yourself, that's really all that matters. And you doing this podcast, shit, you can talk all the time. That's not something you got paid for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't need fucking, all you need is one other person, and you don't even really need that most of the time. You know, shit, you got enough stories where you could do quite a few podcasts on your own.
That's very true.
Yeah, so you know, that's definitely, man. I love having stuff to do. Cheyenne's like, well, you got so many projects. My sister's like, you got so many projects going on. So like, I know. I start a lot of projects because over the winter time, all those projects that I started in the summer that I spent money here and there on doing, I'm gonna be doing those projects when I'm cooped up in the damn house. You know what I'm saying?
I already knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah,
because you're stuck. You can't go outside and work on the car.
You're not really doing that. Well, I can work in the garage.
Yeah, but you're gonna be.
But you're
still inside.
Right.
You ain't doing yard work. Let me put this fence up.
Exactly. So having something to do, man, definitely is a part of, like we was talking about earlier, growing. You know what I mean? And finding something that you're good at and carving that lane, even if it is something that is as simple as talking. sometimes 3 people, 4 people, 5 people sitting at a table talking. None of us have a degree in any kind of psychology or nothing, but you can definitely get some experience and some conveyance of some emotion through other people. So
look at what you taught me and Tori just about the whole housing thing that we didn't fucking know.
Right.
And it's not your broker, but just from your own experience.
Right. It's just experience. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So I think this is a good thing. You should try to get more people from the community, not just people just like, business owners, get them in here sitting down, tell people how to start a business. It's simple. I started a business, but somebody who runs a business every day can tell you way more than I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely
it's like like you said, getting around like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You on to something. You definitely on to something.
I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep motivating, keep doing it, because I ain't gonna hold you up today. Was not necessarily a good day. I almost thought about canceling, but I felt like I was like, this shit was happening. So it was just one of those things where it was like, I told myself, I said, shit's always gonna happen. Right. And it's all about, if you really want to do this, you have to be able to push through the shit and just keep going.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm glad I changed my mind and decided to still do it. Because at the end of the day, it's like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna have good days, I'm gonna have bad days. It's gonna be days you're like, fuck, I swear I feel like doing this shit. Right. It's like, but you still gotta push. You still gotta go out and do it.
I got a lot going on too, and I'm like, you know what? When Tony asked me, or Rodney asked me to do this, I'm like, bet, I need something to do. I need something. You know what I'm saying?
Friday night, I ain't doing nothing.
I'm not doing nothing. Ain't nobody. I ain't doing
baby. That's about it. That'll be about it.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys coming and even being so open. Like Tori, like I said, for most people, especially both of y'all too, I think it's kind of ironic that both of you guys, like, for most people probably don't know how y'all really are, because Tony always comes off as like a very
strong, silent type
asshole. Yeah. It's funny because me and Tony have the same birthday, but I always tell people, I said we're like the polar opposites.
Yeah.
Like Tony's like an asshole.
The quiet asshole.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of sweetness.
You the other bitch. I'm the other bitch.
He's the shark. He's the shark. I'm the goldfish. I'm like, nigga, why is he
I mean, look, but you look like he act.
100%, yeah. And I act like that when I got to. You know what I'm saying? If shit get real, you know what I mean? I can do what I got to fucking do. Niggas take the jokes and the funniness for weakness. I bust a nigga head if I fucking got it.
You know.
I don't like need to all the goddamn time.
The Pisces got two faces.
Oh no, that's two sides. My other side is crazy.
They say Geminis are the same way. There's two sides, but I don't know if I really believe in zodiac stuff.
Sometimes I do, because I've read some shit. I'm like, yeah, that's weird.
I know.
God.
I know.
It's weird. I'm like, you don't even know me.
But then you read something else, and it's like,
some shit
nowhere near what I'm about.
Yeah, like what? I exude sensuality. What?
So that's the other bitch. That's the man. That's the other bitch. That's the Rodney bitch. So the bitch like, bitch, what you want?
Oh shit.
But I thought that was funny when I did meet Tony and I found out we had the same birthday, just because we're like polar opposites of like how we are. But how I didn't know how me and Tony were like really good friends, and how I realized like, yo, this guy.
A year apart or the same day.
4 years, what? Because our kids are the same age, yeah. Because Tyler's 20, and around 16, yeah. Which that's crazy too. Like, so our sons are 4 years apart. We're 4 years apart.
Yeah.
You 40.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 37.
Oh, okay.
So I just turned 40. What was that? 6 months ago?
Yeah.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah. Okay. 3 years and you kid 4 years. Yeah. Okay.
But like I remember, we was at work. And Tony, I think I don't know if I was hungry. At that time, like this one, I was going through shit. And nobody knew I was going through all the shit I was going through.
Yeah, I think you and Tara had broke up.
Yeah.
Too. You was like,
I was going through
shit.
But Tony gave me half his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I remember Tyann, she came up to me, she was like, Tony don't share his food with nobody. Not even me. She's like, he just gave you half of his, like not a piece. And they gave me half. He was like, man, you want half? He didn't look like he wanted to do it, but he was like, he saw my face, like, this nigga look hungry. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and give you half of this sandwich. But that's when I realized it was real close. And also, when I asked y'all to come with me to Tennessee. Mind you, it was a Wednesday when I asked y'all to come. And that nigga said, yeah.
Hey, we had fun.
Last week, what my man say?
Y'all. About that young say nothing right now.
Trinity Lane.
You went to that hotel?
Oh, shit. He had me feel like the hotel was haunted. I was like, shit. Trinity Lane. Then I found out that they got songs, country singers got songs about Trinity Lane.
Oh, look that up.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. It's a song called Trinity Lane, and then there's songs not called Trinity Lane, but they're about Trinity Lane.
That's some interesting shit.
Yeah, that's the spot. Trinity Lane is the spot.
I was thinking,
You go just outside Nashville, Trinity Lane, you can get whatever you need.
And also, too, both of you guys have seen the funkiness of my boots at one point. Because it was funny when I saw Pookie. I'm glad she don't remember me. Because I'm like, the last time I seen her, it was at her mom's house, and I was helping y'all move something.
TV.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna leave my shoes outside.
I gotta take my shoes off.
So I'm just leave my shoes outside. Because I don't want to see.
He was like,
I'll be the memory of Rodney.
I felt you though. I felt because look,
No,
I know how it is.
You walk in that room, and he's like, nigga, what the fuck? He said, what did he say? He was like, nigga, your shoes fuck that room up.
This nigga's shoes smell like they was melting.
what the hell was wrong with your shoes?
Well, at the time I was working 2 jobs. And I was working,
and that's what I was saying.
And I was working black.
That's what I was saying. I respect it and I understood it. Because if your feet smell like that, you're not doing nothing. That would have been the shame. That would have been the shame. But I knew as soon as you left work, you was going to that hospital and doing that, and I'm like, man, this.
Yeah, because I was getting them rides, and I didn't try to work there until they asked me to do that one test, and I was like,
oh yeah, the doo-doo test. That was different. I ain't tell me what's that. They got to check your feces?
They had to check you for bacteria.
Oh, they want to make sure you ain't got no infection.
Right.
I didn't do that though. I think that was, took her a little bit. They weren't really asking,
They asked me to put something, and I was like, I'm straight.
Looking like he wanted some kind of shit test.
Oh, when they come in there, it was like, yeah, you gotta fill this up. I'm like, with what? You like, with fecal matter, I'm like, okay. I walked out, I dropped that kid in the garbage can.
Get the kid. We got one.
I threw that thing in the garbage can and walked out. I'm like, I can't do this.
I can't put no shit in the cup, man.
I couldn't do it.
No, I knew you was working hard, bro, and I was like, dang.
I got a job at Walmart instead.
I do remember that.
I did Walmart for almost a year and a half.
But did you work 2 jobs though?
Yeah, I worked at 2 jobs.
You was working 2 jobs.
He was in electronics, right?
Yep.
Oh, and you was working at the plant?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jordan was doing cigarettes and split them in half.
Like
pack a cigarette.
Yeah, you get half.
You get 1 week, I get the next week. Never charged me gas money.
That was back.
That's a real nigga right here.
That was back when they was paying us like Mexicans. No offense to the Mexicans, I swear. But if you Mexican, these niggas be trying to pay you like shit. So I'm telling the truth. But yeah, that was messed up, man. They was holding our pockets hostage.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Child support was kicking my behind. Me and my baby mama got into it. She cut my phone off. I had to sit. I was text for free on the computer.
I remember when I had
Messenger.
free number, nigga, in the same time I could get around Wi-Fi. Yeah, to even send a message.
No, I got it to the point where I could literally sign into it. It was called Painter.
Can we take a break and smoke a joint?
Yeah, I think we can.
Or
cut that head.